Paul Seegert, managing partner, PCS Advisers, joining me now. Paul, how you doing?
Doing fantastic. How are you today?
Good. So we've been talking about this new strain this morning, making herd immunity a little bit more difficult. What do you know about this new strain? I know they first, I guess, realized there was a new strain in the UK. Now I'm hearing it may be in California. What do we know so far, and what kind of difficulties lie ahead because of it?
Well, it's a variation, so it's a mutated version, and they think it came from somebody who had an unusually long illness from COVID-19, and so the virus mutated inside of that one person, and then has got out into the population. Now it's a variant, and that is a little bit different than a strain, and it's positive news in that the vaccines that we already have will almost certainly work for this variant, and that's a plus. And then the negative, or the part that we're more watchful of, is the fact that it's thought to be more contagious. Now, that's based on modeling, not empirical evidence yet because it's so early, but it could be 50, 60, 70% more contagious than what we're used to.
Paul, you mentioned that the vaccines that we have right now more than likely will work. You said something to that effect, but you left a little opening in there. Are you hesitant to say that they'll work 100%, and if so, why?
We are, a little bit hesitant, and the reason is because, as an example, the CEO of BioNTech, the company that partnered with Pfizer for the first vaccine that was widely approved, hasn't come out and said with certainty that their vaccine will work. They have high level of confidence that it will work, but they're going to do some studies to confirm that. So this isn't the first variation. There's been about 20, and it has worked in those other cases. So it's widely expected that it will work, but we're not certain until the studies are run.
Talking to Paul Seegert, managing partner, PCS Advisers. Paul, when we talk about herd immunity, Dr. Fauci just recently changed what he said about herd immunity. I think he kind of pumped up the numbers a little bit as far as what he believes, what percentage of the population, what we need to achieve in order to get it. In your mind, your area of expertise, what's it going to take to get herd immunity?
Well, that's a good point you make. And a lot of this, and I think it brings the overall good point to light, that there's a lot of guesswork, educated guesswork, but guesswork that's going into this. Dr. Fauci at one point said 70% would get us to herd immunity, and then now it was 80 to 85%, or is it 80 to 85%, or up to 90%, and that's a huge range. And I was talking to a CEO of a hospital yesterday, and he said inside his facility, 35% of the folks don't want to take the vaccine, and will only do so if it's mandated, and there's loopholes with that. So it's a big question mark, really. The more, the better.
Yeah. Are you even surprised by the number of people who say they won't take the vaccine? I mean, we've got an influenza vaccine, and a lot of people choose not to take it. So if you base what we've seen with the influenza vaccine and the number of people who say, I'm not going to get it, is it really that shocking that so many people are saying, I'm not going to get the coronavirus vaccine either?
No, I don't think so. It really isn't. This is pretty normal. There's lots of folks that feel that, hey, I'm in good health, I don't really need to do it, and so they choose not to. In this case, there's added fear because of the speed with which these vaccines have been developed. There's a lot of misinformation there along that. With that, they're different vaccines. This mRNA type of vaccine can be developed more quickly than the older types of vaccines that used weakened or deadened virus to be created. So it is a quicker process, but there needs to be some more communication around that to build the confidence amongst people that this has not been rushed and that it is safe.
Talking to Paul Seegert, managing partner, PCS Advisers. Paul, in your expert opinion, herd immunity, have we been putting it off by hunkering down, some states locking down, and then They unlock, if you will, and then the virus is still there. We've seen some states that haven't been locked down, and they're actually doing as good, if not better, than states that have been locked down. So I guess my question to you is, would we have reached herd immunity a lot sooner if we would have just full force met this virus head on instead of kind of playing a hide and seek game with it over the past 9 months?
It is an interesting point you make. The conversation changed. Early on, we were talking about slowing the spread, and now it's escalated to the point that experts are out there talking about and policymakers eradicating this virus with a vaccine. We've only ever eradicated one disease off the earth with a vaccine, and that was smallpox. Now, we have achieved herd immunity in other cases, but it's a pretty tall order. And just from a mathematical perspective, you're right. Had we not done as aggressive, the lockdowns that were quite as aggressive, certainly we could get to herd immunity quicker, because it's not just vaccines, but it's people who've recovered from getting the illness that contribute to that overall herd immunity percentage. But on the other hand, would we have overrun the healthcare system and overrun the hospitals and not have the ability to treat those who had very complicated clinical outcomes?
Right.
That's
all right,
the trade-off.
Paul, before I let you go, one last question. Should Americans be optimistic about turning the corner on the coronavirus in 2021?
Geez, I wish it were better news, but it seems like the rollout of the vaccine has gone a little slower than anticipated. Mm-hmm. That's not a big surprise. It's such a huge undertaking to potentially vaccinate 70+% of the world. But they've given us a range of anywhere from March to April to May to June to July that there would be vaccines available for the quote-unquote normal population, or just the average person. That means, at that rate, we could be eating at home and, doing takeout well into the third quarter. So I think we have to be prepared that this could last much longer than any of us would like.
All right, Paul. Thanks for joining me on the show.
Thank you.
All right, Paul Seegert, managing partner, PCS.